Pinterest is actually not a social media platform. It's a search engine. And this is helpful because with like Instagram and Facebook, if you post something, it's going to disappear after like 24 or 48 hours. But pins can live on for like months to years. So if you post something today, you can still see traffic and, get clients from it like a year or 2 years down the road.
Hey, my feel-gooders. Where are my Pinterest fans at? Today, I'm chatting with the amazing Julia from Julia Renee Consulting about all things Pinterest and how it's an essential tool for most of us when it comes to content marketing, improving our SEO, and building our brands. I know I'm an Instagram nerd, but if I'm honest, I absolutely love Pinterest, maybe even a little more than Instagram, for so many reasons. The two platforms are very different and should be used differently with varying strategies for sure. But let me tell you, when you use Pinterest right, I honestly believe you can do more to propel your business towards success and boost your bottom line. I cannot wait to share our chat with you today. But before we dive in, I'd like to share something new and exciting with you. I've created a new free download for you, my lovely listeners. It's called the Roadmap to Stress-Free Social Media for Your Brand, and it's literally a map that walks you through the 5 actionable steps to making your social media marketing as easy and manageable and strategic as possible, so that you can know that you're doing social media right without letting it take over your life. Sounds nice, right? To grab this latest free download, just head to feelgoodsocial.com/stress-free-social. I, of all people, know how overwhelming social media can be, and you know how strongly I feel about using it as effectively and efficiently as possible so that we're not wasting any of our precious time. This roadmap will show you the exact steps to do just that. Again, to grab our free roadmap to stress-free social, go to feelgoodsocial.com/stress-free-social. Pretty easy, right? And I will send it your way, my friend. All right, now let's get into this episode. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. All right, my feel-good friends, let's dive into this chat with Julia. Now, as of course, the world isn't perfect, I have to tell you that for whatever reason, the very first minute of our interview did not record. We didn't really miss much, if I'm honest, just basically me saying my usual, jubilant hello and asking Julia to tell us a little bit about what she does and who she serves. So as we drop into this convo, Julia's saying she's a Pinterest and SEO consultant who works mostly with
interior designers to wedding photographers, just really helping them with their organic traffic and, reaching the right people on Google and Pinterest. I've been doing it for almost 3 years now, full time, having lots of fun with it, especially as Google and Pinterest have been having lots of algorithm changes the past couple of months. So it's been fun to keep up with, all the updates.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm so excited to get into this because I don't think you know this about me, but I'm like a Pinterest geek. Like it's my favorite, but I still really don't know as much. I've been focusing on Instagram and all that stuff. So I'm excited to dive into that. But I would love to know, how did you kind of get started in this business? What kind of drove you to start this business?
Yeah, so I've been all over the place, but I was working like a corporate marketing job. I started, I think, 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, right out of college, and was immediately bored. So I started a travel photography site on the side. So that's actually where I learned SEO and Pinterest, just for my, own things. And then I wanted to quit my job and I started freelancing about 3 years ago. So I was doing, because my background is in journalism, so I was doing a lot of content writing for small businesses And then I was optimizing for them for SEO because I knew how to do that. And then I realized they had no idea what that meant or why it mattered.
Yeah.
So that's when I transitioned into focusing like specifically on SEO and Pinterest, and doing a lot of trainings as well, because a lot of people get really intimidated by them. But I promise they're not that scary.
Yeah, that is so cool. Where have been your favorite places that you've traveled to? Just a little side question.
I don't think there's been a place that I haven't loved, but Denmark holds a special place in my heart. I have actually studied there twice. I met my husband there. So I'm hoping to go back later this year again. And then we went to the Faroe Islands, I think a year and a half ago. And I thought that was amazing. I loved it there.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love travelers, you know, like we just all have such great souls. I feel like I have some ambitions to travel. We went to Southeast Asia a couple of years ago, and that was kind of my biggest trip as an adult, you know, and so we want to make it a priority to travel more. Definitely. Yay. Okay. Well, I'm so excited to chat Pinterest with you and SEO, but you know, Pinterest is a little more sexy, I think. Than SEO, maybe. So let's just start with Pinterest. Why is Pinterest so important for marketing our businesses?
Yeah, so there's definitely a misconception that Pinterest is like only for like finding design inspiration or recipes or things like that. A lot of people don't think they can use it for their business, but it's actually really helpful for businesses. And there are a few reasons for that. So one is Pinterest is actually not a social media platform. It's a search engine. So it's similar to Google. And this is helpful because with like Instagram and Facebook, if you post something, it's going to disappear after like 24 or 48 hours. I think Twitter is like no one sees it after 6 hours, but pins can live on for like months to years. So if you post something today, you can still see traffic and, you know, get clients from it like a year or 2 years down the road. And it also allows you to connect with the right people because since Pinterest is a search engine, people are searching for specific things. So even if someone follows you on Instagram, they're probably, you know, they could hire you, but if you have 10,000 followers, not all 10,000 of them are going to hire you. But with Pinterest, when people are searching for specific things, they're way more likely to hire you for your services because they have a need for that. And then also with Pinterest, almost 90% of people who are using Pinterest have bought something, whether it's services or products. So they are primed to buy. So if you have services or products that you're advertising on Pinterest, people are way more likely to purchase those than just like from an Instagram post. So it's lots of continuous traffic. You can really build up and get a lot of traffic from it, get some clients from it, and your work is going to last on there for months or even years.
Yes. Oh, this is why I love Pinterest. And this is what gets me so frustrated about Instagram, even though like that's kind of my thing, is that, you know, they make it so difficult and the platform isn't meant for searching for things or like people aren't using it in the same way. Exactly. Like they're using it for entertainment. They're using it for leisure, not for like a specific purpose, I guess. Yeah, I just love Pinterest. I actually, when I first started my business, I was doing the whole, let's do everything. Let's be a branding company and a social media company and a graphic designer and all that stuff. And I created this worksheet, my first freebie, that was like the complete branding worksheet is what I called it. And so, but it was good. You know, it's like, it's pretty valuable, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But like now my business isn't necessarily about branding. However, that has been getting me people to my email list. Like it recently took off and like a year later, you know, and all of a sudden I'm getting like 20, 30 people a day to my email list. And it's insane because it was a year ago and I completely forgot that I'd even like pinned that, you know, like, it's so exciting. Okay. So you said, you know, there's this misconception about the types of businesses who should be on Pinterest and all of that stuff. Who do you think should be on Pinterest? And is there anyone who maybe shouldn't bother with Pinterest?
Yeah, so I actually have a whole blog post on this. It came out in February of this year because I get asked this a lot. So most businesses should be using Pinterest. There are only a few businesses where I say it's not helpful at all. And those are like local businesses that are only serving their local audience. So like a dry cleaner or an exterminator or a cleaning company, like people are not searching for, their dentist on Pinterest. Like you're going to search on Google or you're going to like ask people for referrals. So those aren't going to do so well on Pinterest. If you are, brick and mortar businesses do really well. Like if you're a boutique or a restaurant or something like that, if you're serving more people than just your local audience, Pinterest can do really well for you. But if you are considering Pinterest, one thing you need to do is make sure you have content or products, because otherwise you're not going to have anything to pin. So content doesn't just have to be blog posts. This can be like podcasts or YouTube videos or things like that. But if you don't have any content, you're not going to have anything to pin. You can't just keep pinning your homepage.
Yeah.
You can also, like you were saying, you can set up a pin for your freebie to build up your email list, things like that. But yeah, you need to serve more than just your local audience, and you need to have some sort of content.
Yeah, for sure. I want to ask you quite a few questions about all that stuff. One thing I just remembered, someone the other day was telling me how you don't necessarily want a pin that's going directly to your freebie. It's better to have a pin go to a blog post and then offer the freebie from the blog post. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you definitely want to have the traffic going to your website instead of like a, MailChimp sign up list or something like that. So, there are super easy ways that you can do this. Just set up like a landing page to have, your freebie sign up list embedded in it. For YouTube videos, you can just create like a short blog post with a, summary and embed the YouTube video in a blog post. Podcasts are the same thing, where you can just, write up your show notes and then give links to especially because podcasts, you can have them on different places like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So that way you're getting the traffic to your own website, and then you can refer people out to, where they would want to go to get more of your content. But yeah, that way you're getting the traffic. If they want to click around your website, they can do that easily. They don't have to like hunt down your link on, the Apple Podcast thing. Or if, you don't have your link somewhere on your like email sign up link, then, they have no idea where to find your business. So it just makes it easier for everyone, and you're getting the traffic from it.
For sure. Yeah. So it's making it as easy on people as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love that. That's what I preach about Instagram too.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, what kind of content are you seeing performing the best on Pinterest right now?
Blog posts always do really well. I will say Pinterest, I think it was a year ago, you were able to start adding videos as pins. That has very mixed results. Okay. It really depends on the type of content or the type of video and the type of client you're, trying to target. There are a few reasons for this. If you are uploading a video, it's typically horizontal, but pins that do best are vertical because those are, stand out more. So it's something you can kind of play around with if you have videos. I wouldn't necessarily encourage you to start creating videos just to be able to pin them. Again, it depends on, what your niche is, how, what your Pinterest audience is, things like that.
So for those of us who are just kind of starting out on Pinterest and we don't really know what we're doing, what are some of the most important things we should be doing? And what are some tips and tricks that you have for us that we should definitely know?
Yeah, so like I said, you need to have some kind of content to be able to pin. If you're just starting a blog, that's totally fine. You can build up your content as you go. But one thing that you definitely need to do is make sure you are pinning consistently every single day. I use a scheduler called Tailwind. It's amazing. You can schedule out like a full month, or I think you can, I don't even know how far in advance you can schedule, probably like 6 months or something. And then you don't have to touch it again. But it actually doesn't matter how many pins you are pinning every day. Pinterest and Tailwind did a video together recently because there are a lot of people who are pinning like hundreds of pins every day. So they really want you to be pinning 50 or less.
Okay.
Because, yeah, hundreds of pins, that's a little excessive.
Yeah.
And also, if you're pinning hundreds of pins every day, how much of that content is actually yours? Because not a lot of people have, hundreds of blog posts or, videos that they can pin. So do not pin more than 50. I personally only pin like between 5 and 10 a day, and I'm still seeing great results from that. So you can kind of play around to see, how many pins are working best for you. But you don't have to start pinning 50 a day to start off with. Just, start with a couple and then build it up from there. So Tailwind, again, is great for that. And especially if you don't have much of your own content yet, it's totally fine to be pinning from other people in like similar niches or, other types of content that your audience would be interested in reading about. So you can kind of, attract them to your profile, to your other boards and things like that. And then as you start creating more content, you can kind of play around with the ratio of how much of your own content you're pinning versus how much of other people's content. You also do want to make sure that you're optimizing your profile and your boards and your pins. That way it's easier for people to find you on Pinterest and on Google. I see this all the time where pins are ranking well on Google and on Google Images. So this is where, keyword research can come in handy to make sure that you are using the right phrases that people are searching for, both on Pinterest and on Google. So you really want to make sure you are putting as much, valuable information as you can on your Pinterest profile, boards, and pins. So that way it's easy for people to understand, who you are, what your content is about, and, it's going to really help you rank well in Pinterest and Google.
Yeah. Oh, those are all great tips. So I am very intrigued by when you mean pin, 10 to 50 times a day, and then, your own content versus others' content. Should we be reposting pins that we already have or repinning our content that we've already pinned? Is that what you mean? Like creating kind of new pins out of the same content every day?
Yeah, so there was a recent Pinterest update where they said that they are really valuing what they call new content. So that is either a new link, like you created a new blog post, or a new image. But people are still seeing results from pinning their, a pin that's been around for a while, especially if that's been ranking well. You don't want to just ignore that and let the rankings drop. So I would recommend pinning, a mix of older, pins that are doing well, or maybe one that you want to give a boost, but also, creating new content in some form and mixing that in with the old content that you're repinning.
Right. Okay. And Tailwind, see, and I've never used Tailwind, although I do know what you're talking about. So does that help you whenever you're using Tailwind and you're like, you can schedule it out for far into the future? Is it kind of looking at your account and repinning those pins that are performing really well at certain times, or what? How does Tailwind work for you that way?
Yeah, so Tailwind is more you're choosing what you're pinning pretty much. You can completely control the schedule. You can control how many pins you want to pin per day. So this is where you can set to have, your older pins repinned. You can add them to your schedule. And then you can create pins either in Pinterest or in Tailwind. So that would be the new content, having some sort of new graphic or a new blog post.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about creating multiple pins for one piece of content. Because when you're saying, 50 pins a day, I'm like, oh, geez, I create one podcast a week and that's enough for me.
Yeah.
So how do we repurpose one piece of content in multiple ways on Pinterest?
Yeah, so I have mixed feelings on creating multiple graphics for blog posts or, podcasts, things like that.
Okay.
One, because people can get really bogged down in trying to create the perfect pin. So it can take hours to create just 3 simple graphics. So if you're falling into that camp, just create one just to start off with, just to test it out, because you want to make sure you're focusing on the content more than the pin itself, the actual graphic. So if you're spending way more time on creating graphics than you are creating an actual blog post, just start with the one graphic to start off with, and you can go back and you can create graphics, later. But having new images and new graphics will help you. You can also test out different designs to see which ones are resonating more with your audience, which ones are more eye-catching. So that is where it's helpful. But yeah, again, make sure you're not just wasting hours on trying to create the perfect, couple of graphics when your time could be spent better elsewhere.
Okay, yeah. What does the perfect pin look like? What is going to make people want to pin it and or click through?
Yeah, so make sure it's a vertical image. Those are going to stand out more than like a horizontal image. Make sure you have a text overlay on it because a lot of times the title of the pin can get cut off or it's just not very, eye-catching. It doesn't stand out as much as the pin itself. But when you're creating text, don't throw on like 5 different fonts on it in all different sizes. Make sure it's easy to read, it's clear. It doesn't have all these crazy designs or, different fonts all over it because you want it to, stand out, but you also want people to be able to skim it really quickly to decide if they want to click through or not. So you want to, have some sort of eye-catching title. This can be different from the actual, pin title itself. I do this a lot. You have, a great title that's very informative, but then you want to have something that's a little more catchy on your actual pin graphic. You can do that. So that way you are, targeting the different keywords, Pinterest title and description, but maybe, your pin graphic title is a little bit more fun.
Okay. I love that. I love that advice to like, it doesn't have to be the same.
Yeah.
Can you, I guess, tell us a little bit, what is the best way to optimize your pins with these keywords and stuff? Do hashtags work on Pinterest? The titles are obviously searchable. Mm-hmm. How can we optimize them in the best way?
Yeah, so hashtags don't really matter anymore.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, that was something that Pinterest, they launched it, I think it was over a year ago. They did, really well to begin with, and then people just kind of stopped using it. It wasn't as, intuitive to use hashtags on Pinterest as it is on like Instagram or something like that. People were kind of, abusing hashtags too and adding like, 50 to their pin description. So hashtags don't really work anymore. You can test them out if you want, just add like a couple. But I have not used hashtags in the past year at least. And I mean, I'm still getting great results from it.
Yeah. I mean, I love that because I honestly do not like hashtags.
Yeah.
I think they're so annoying. But like the title and the entire description shows up in search, mm-hmm. right, on Pinterest. So hashtags don't, like, there's really no point. Yeah. It's just adding a little extra something in front, I guess.
Yeah. And one thing I heard is they were finding, so people wouldn't necessarily search hashtags, but when they saw a pin that had hashtags on it, they would get curious and start clicking around the hashtags. But then you're leaving that pin that you found.
Right.
So like if you have hashtags in your pin and people are clicking on the hashtags instead of your pin, then you're not getting that traffic.
Yeah, you don't want to lead people away from
right.
your pin. Yeah. That's not the point. Okay, cool. That's so interesting. I love that. I just got so excited when you said that I don't need to use hashtags.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I love it. And you're so right. I love that Pinterest and Google link together so well. I love that Pinterest is showing up on Google because, yeah, that is something that is a struggle for Instagram, especially, I think, with like not a lot of Instagram is actually like searchable and stuff, you know what I mean? And so it doesn't really show up at all. That is so awesome. Okay, so what do you think is the best way to drive conversions on Pinterest? What is the best plan of action that we could take, I guess, to actually help us boost our business? Yeah.
So for Pinterest itself, you want to make sure that you are reaching the right people. So this is, something else with like optimizing your pins is make sure you're using keywords that your target audience is searching for. Want to, make sure you're using appropriate keywords in the description and in the title. Think about your Pinterest graphic, if it's going to resonate with, people who are searching for that. So for example, right now I am working with an artist who creates very like nature inspired art and home decor, uses a lot of like reclaimed wood, things like that. So if I create a Pinterest graphic that uses like bright red, that's not going to resonate, with her audience who's looking for like this more calming nature inspired pieces of artwork. So kind of take that into consideration. And then so one thing with Pinterest is, you can do all that you can on Pinterest and they'll drive traffic to your site, but then it really comes down to your content. So you want to make sure that you're writing content that is going to resonate with your audience and drive them to become one of your clients. So I actually just wrote a blog post on this a couple of weeks ago, but you need to make sure that you're having some sort of...
Are you enjoying this episode so far? If you answered with a big hell yes, I would love to ask you to snap a screenshot and share it to Instagram so all your biz buddies can hear it too. And don't forget to tag us at Feel Good Social so we can spread the love right back to you. Thank you so much for listening, my friend. Let's dive back in.
You need to make sure that you're having some sort of call to action in your content. You need to make sure that your content is, helping your audience, that it's, answering a question that they might have. It's building trust with them. Maybe have your freebie in there so they can kind of test out to see the other types of content that you're creating that will, answer their questions and, see what your email list is all about before they hire you. So Pinterest can be helpful, and it's definitely going to, drive traffic to your site, but it really comes down to you and how you're creating your content that goes on Pinterest.
Right. Yeah. I'm so glad that you took it there, because I was actually just thinking, like, what topics do you think perform the best on Pinterest? Like, what is going to get people to click through?
I mean, I would say answering a question or having some sort of helpful advice. If you have no idea where to start, just start typing things related to your business and your niche into Pinterest, and they're going to, give you suggestions on other things to search. You can see what other people have been searching already. If you have a lot of content on your site, but you haven't been pinning it, you can also see if people are already pinning it for you. So what you can do is you can go to, it's pinterest.com/source/ and then you type in your URL. And it's going to show you everything that people have been pinning from that URL, so your website. So if there's some kind of content that has really resonated with people and, prompted them to share it on Pinterest, maybe, create more content like that. So there are, all different kinds of ways to kind of test out to see what type of content you should be creating and pinning to Pinterest. But yeah, you kind of just have to explore and dig around.
Yeah, I do. I love that about Pinterest search. It does pop up with those suggestions on the long tail kind of suggestions, similar to Google.
Yeah. And one thing I love about Pinterest, the actual company, is they're very transparent about, any algorithm changes. So when they decided that you should only be pinning 50 pins or less a day, it wasn't a big secret. They had all these live videos and had videos with Tailwind. So Instagram, whenever there's an algorithm change, you kind of have to guess to see what the heck's going on. But Pinterest, they really are, they have the creators and the pinners in mind. They, tell you when there's going to be some kind of big change. They are always testing things out. So, sometimes your pins can look a little different than they were yesterday, but before they commit to that change, they'll let you know. So, I think it's just a great platform for, any type of business.
Yeah, girl, I think you've convinced me. I'm going to Pinterest.
Yes.
I'm Instagram, they're very annoying, and I'm very open about how annoying I think they are.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me into this curiosity question. Does Pinterest struggle with any kind of troll or bot accounts at all, like Instagram does?
I don't really think I have seen trolls or bots, but there is an issue with people stealing pins. So they will save your pin graphic or your picture or whatever, and then create a pin where it links to their own website. So that, yeah, I know it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's weird.
So that happens a lot. But the good news is you report it to Pinterest and they'll take it down immediately. They will also suspend accounts for doing that. So they're very much on top of, shutting down accounts that are taking advantage of other people. I have had to, report stolen pins to Pinterest before. The process is super easy. You just have to have some kind of proof that, the image is yours. So I had an image on my website from a blog post that had been live for 2 years. And this person created the pin last week. So, there was obvious proof that it was my own image.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. So real people.
Yeah.
Not even robots. Okay.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads me into another question. When I was kind of, a year ago, 2 years ago, researching better ways to use Pinterest and everything, the woman's blog I was reading was suggesting to put your website on your pin. Do you think that that's still a good idea to overlay it on the graphic, at the very bottom?
Yeah, I do that for all my pins. One I wouldn't recommend, I've seen a lot of times where they put HTTPS, the colon, backslash, the full thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that just, it doesn't look very professional. So I would just put your business name. That's what I do. Just Julia Renee Consulting, not even juliareneeconsulting.com. And, it looks professional, especially if you have, a particular design that you're sticking with. You have all your pins kind of looking cohesive and on brand.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Oh, man, I am loving this. So selfishly, can you give me any tips for maybe how to, promote a podcast on Pinterest?
Yeah. So, it's very similar to strategies for blog posts. So I would recommend, if you're not already, putting together, show notes or summary of your podcast into like a blog post format, and then, linking out to the actual podcast itself. So that way, you are getting the traffic to your site. This is also really helpful for SEO, because these can also rank. So after you create like some sort of little blog post, I would create a Pinterest graphic, or 5 if you are so inclined, with the title of your podcast or the topic that you're talking about. And then, so people know what to expect. I would also recommend saying that it's a podcast somewhere in the pin description or the title or something like that, because a lot of times it's really annoying if you click through a pin and then it's not something that you expect. So like a lot of times I've clicked on an image that's a pin, and then it just takes me to like the JPEG, not to like the website where it came from. So if people aren't expecting a podcast and then they are brought to your podcast, page, maybe it's not what they're expecting, so they could click away. But then also, if you say it's a podcast somewhere in the title or, description or something, if people are searching specifically for podcasts or podcasts, episodes that are related to that topic, and, yours could rank really well for that. So you're reaching the right people that way.
Ooh, okay, cool. Yes, I do have the show notes on my website and all that stuff, so that's perfect. And I have been creating kind of audiogram, the photos with the audiogram moving along in them. And I've been trying to pin those, but they don't have like a title on the photo usually. Do you think that I should start adding it?
Like a text overlay?
Those audiograms? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Mental note made. Yay. Okay. That's so great. And do you think that Square, like if someone wanted to repurpose content from Instagram, or for me, like those audiograms are Square because I use them on Instagram. Do you think that Square pins work okay? Or would you really suggest the 3-to-4 ratio for Pinterest?
Yeah, so typically it's somewhere between 2 and 3 and 3-to-4 ratio. Those vertical pins definitely do better than square or horizontal. So if you already have, some sort of picture or like an audiogram in a square format, all you have to do really is just kind of like add on top of that and put your text there.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be hard.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so just like add more of the canvas, and that's where you can place your text.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, I love that. What are some of the most like creative pins you've seen, or do you have any tips for like being, I guess, super creative with the visual part of it?
Yeah, so one that I've been seeing recently that I think is really cool is, so it's a video, but it's, the vertical video, but it's kind of like a slideshow. So the first slide in quotations is the Pinterest graphic. So it has the text overlay on an image, but then that will change to show, maybe some more, like if you have written a blog post that has, it's broken up in different topics by headers. It shows like a little summary of each different topic.
Oh,
it's kind of a video, kind of like a, PowerPoint type thing. PowerPoint, that sounds so old fashioned, but a modern PowerPoint where it kind of gives you the snippet of what the content is, even if you don't have an actual like video in your post. I've also seen this since I have a travel website. I've seen this a lot in the travel world, where it's, kind of starts with the pin graphic and then transitions into showing different images from that particular location. So kind of a video that summarizes your content, but doesn't give it all away because you want people to still click through. But it's, again, not like just a horizontal YouTube video.
Yeah, for sure. And you think it is super important to always have that like classic pin image first, the informational one where to give people, because I'm guessing like people on Pinterest, like that's what they're there for. They're there for the information and all that stuff. So they need that in order to even like stop and pause and pin.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Side note, because you have this awesome travel blog, do you also use Instagram for your travel blog, or are you sticking mainly to Pinterest?
Yeah, I do have Instagram. It, grows very slowly, so I see a lot more success with Pinterest.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of like cross-posting strategy at all with Instagram, or are you just kind of focusing more on the inspirational photos?
Yeah, I kind of use Instagram. This worked better, back in the day before Instagram started changing everything. But I was getting a lot of traffic from Instagram. Like people would check out the information on my photo and then go to click through to my website to read more on my blog. But now it's kind of a mix of like telling people I have a new blog post and then just posting inspirational pictures from my travels.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Now, I would love to get into Pinterest ads a little bit because I've been geeking out about these lately. And I honestly think that I want to start using them for my own business. Can you just tell us a little bit about how Pinterest ads work and maybe the difference between Pinterest ads and Facebook ads and like why Pinterest ads are awesome?
Yeah. So the big reason why I love Pinterest ads over Facebook and Instagram is so they're just kind of like embedded in the search feed. So they don't stand out as ads as much. But so it just looks like a pin. So if someone pins that and saves it for later, even after your ad cycle ends, that pin is going to stay on. So when your Facebook ad ends, that's it. No one sees it anymore. But with Pinterest, your ad can still, stay on for months or even a year, even after you stop paying for it. So that's a huge reason why I love Pinterest ads. They are very easy to set up. You can only start doing like a couple dollars a day if you want. One tip I do recommend is make sure you plan ahead. So with Pinterest, since it takes a little while for you to build up to start getting, better rankings and more traffic and things like that, you want to plan for like, holidays or seasons or something like that. So if you have some content that's related to Valentine's Day, don't post it the week before. Start your pin or your ad like several weeks before Valentine's Day. It's recommended to post it like 3 months ahead. Ads are a little different because, you don't have to build up the ranking as much, but you still don't want to just do it the week before.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that is how my pin kind of took off all of a sudden. Basically, that one pin that I like my first pin or something. I put a few dollars behind it. I think I put like $5 behind it because I was like, yeah, let's make this happen. And it didn't really happen. And that's fine. Like, whatever. I forgot about it. And all of a sudden, all of these people started pinning it. And I'm like almost 99% sure it was people pinning my boosted post that I paid $5 for a year ago. It's just, that's why I love, exactly, the longevity of Pinterest ads versus Facebook ads, like you're saying. And what have you noticed? Because for a long time, people were saying Facebook ads are like the best ROI. They perform the best for the cheapest and all that stuff. How do you feel about Pinterest ads return on investment, I guess? How expensive are they?
Yeah, so I mean, they can be as cheap or as expensive as you want. Usually, so I don't run ads for my clients, but I have run them for myself. But usually I just put a couple bucks behind it each day and, get tons of traffic and things like that. So the ROI from it is going to, kind of going back to what I was saying about conversions. You can have the best pin with, great keywords, things like that. But it's going to come down to what is behind the pin, what the content is, whatever the freebie is. So focus on that before you start using Pinterest ads, and you're going to see, much better conversions.
For sure. Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm like, I want to get off this call and go put some money behind some pins now. I'm like, yes, this is great. And then one last question about Pinterest ads. What's the targeting like? Can you get super specific with the targeting, or do keywords matter for your pins that you're promoting?
I would say keywords are probably the biggest focus for Pinterest ads. Because, if you think about Facebook, you're just going to see ads as you're scrolling through your Facebook feed. You're not like searching for a specific topic and these ads pop up. So when you're on Pinterest, you're going to see ads when you're searching for something. So you want to make sure you're targeting the right keyword. You can get, they have some good demographics that you can target. You do need to keep in mind, I think it's 70 to 80% of pinners are female. So if your audience is only men, maybe don't do Pinterest ads. You can target those few men, but yeah, just something to be aware of.
Yeah, I know. That's so interesting. Although, since it does show up on Google search and all of that stuff, that is something to consider. I don't know. We're going back. We're just complaining about Instagram this whole time. That's it does. It's kind of annoying. And I think that just because Instagram is the sexy platform that everyone seems to need to be on, a lot of people want to focus on that. But I always tell people, where is your time and energy best spent right now? It was the same way with people are always concerned about hashtags on Instagram. And I'm like, they don't really work that well. It's kind of that passive action where it's you're putting this out there and hoping that it lands in front of someone versus Pinterest. That's what I love, is because people are searching for things and they're there for the reason of wanting information.
Yeah.
I just think that's so great. Okay. Well, before I let you go, what is your biggest tip for anyone who is just starting out with SEO or Pinterest or all that stuff? What can they do today to really just help set them in the right direction?
Just get started. Get started today. You're not going to see immediate results. So don't get discouraged with that. I would say with Pinterest, be active on it every day, create pins, give it at least 3 to 4 months before you decide to throw in the towel. Because you're not going to see results tomorrow. It's, a little frustrating, but I promise, if you get started today, a year from now, you're going to be so happy you did, because you're going to get a little traffic in 3 months, but then it's really just going to keep, bringing you great traffic, great clients as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I do love that for sure. Yeah. It's so easy to get discouraged sometimes when we're so impatient.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all need to be a little bit more patient. Well, thank you so much for coming on here, Julia. I've so enjoyed our conversation. Can you tell all my people where they can find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so you can find me. I am on Instagram at Julia Renee Consulting. It's also my website, juliareneeconsulting.com. Yeah, I post a mix of SEO and Pinterest blog posts, and also some trainings on Instagram stories as well.
Yes. And I will link all of that in the show notes below so you can find her super easily. And thanks so much for the great conversation, lady.
Thanks for having me.
Oh man, what a great conversation. If you couldn't tell, I just love talking content marketing and Pinterest so much. And I know I'm an Insta geek, but I gotta say, Pinterest does make more sense as a focus for a lot of us in a lot of ways. So definitely go check out that platform and use it if it makes sense for you. Don't forget to grab our latest new freebie, the roadmap to stress-free social media for your brand, at feelgoodsocial.com/stress-free-social. And once again, if you loved this episode and you think that others would love it too, please go ahead and snap a screenshot to share to Instagram. Make sure you tag me at feelgoodsocial and Julia at Julia Renee Consulting so we can see it and spread the joy right back to you. Have a wonderful day, my friends. We'll chat next week. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.